Hello everyone and welcome to Central Online. We have got some good news. We are now 1 metre socially distanced in church. As you can see, we've got a few more seats in and we had a prayer meeting on Tuesday and it was absolutely fantastic. So I want to encourage you, if you have never been to church before, if you've been watching online and you've been liking what you see, we would love to welcome you into this room to join with us together to do church in person and in real life. Maybe you're a little bit nervous about that, or maybe you're unsure. Why not drop us an email at ineed@aogcentral.co.uk, and we'd love to chat to you and just really try and make your first visit into our building as easy and as welcoming as possible. Now, I hope you've been enjoying the life stories this past while over the summer holidays. Rab's story was absolutely incredible, and if you haven't seen that yet, please go and watch it. We've got a part 1 and a part 2, and both of them are just truly amazing. And this week we have got someone else who is very special. We have got the one and only Coach Claire Batty of CB Coaching and of Friday Night Football, and Ben is interviewing her about her life story. So without further ado, I'm going to introduce you to Claire and Ben.
We're here with Claire Batty, also known as Coach Claire to many of us. So great to hear you, Claire, and we just want to hear a conversation and just a little bit about your life and the things that you've been through, and for your new as well. So for your new, well, during this whole time, I mean, we're almost coming to an end of these restrictions and things like that, but fit has been something that you've been into, something you've picked up during that time that you didn't used to do before. Is there anything?
Life groups.
Life groups.
Life groups.
So you started them during the lockdown?
I did start them during lockdown.
Virtual.
Because I couldn't do them. I couldn't do them before because kids had clubs or kids were in their bed. So it's been a good opportunity to start life group.
Online.
Virtual
live, because you can do it with the burns. And so, well, I'm in one of the life groups for you, but you're in a couple of different things, aren't you?
I'm also on it was Alpha. I was on the Alpha, and then we've now moved it on to a life group.
Aye. So they were the Sunday nights, weren't they?
Yes.
Okay. And Fridays, do you get involved with
I still go Friday.
Friendly Fridays.
Connect Friday, I think.
Connect Friday. That's a bit better.
So.
I might be able to say it right. So that's great. So you're well involved with life groups. That's good. For about, obviously you're totally involved with football coaching, so you're keeping fit with that. But have you done anything different that way, or is it just out there?
No, I've been very lazy.
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 Never I've seen. You're always out in the park with the football. And
except for being on a pitch and walking the dog. That's probably about it.
Yeah. For about snacks.
Snacks.
Have you been good, bad, or indifferent?
Good.
You've never been good?
Chocolate.
Nobody's been good, have they? Aye, the chocolate thing. Many people have been stricken by that. Many people had it before, but I think
I've always had it, but it's
gotten worse. On a specific type?
Oh, Cadbury's. I do like Cadbury's, but if I'm
Dairy
hungry,
milk, things like that.
only thing I'll go.
Aye, on a kind of chocolate thing. Okay, doke. Well, it would be good just to, I thought, just say how far you're at now. So you're Claire, you're married to Keith. How long have you been married?
Nearly 16 years.
Nearly 16 years. You've got 2 lovely kids, Cameron and Kira. So how old are they?
Cameron is 11 and Kira is 9, going on 19.
Wow. She is. She is. And so you've done a few things in life in terms of jobs and that, and we'll go into that in a wee bit. But just now you've got Claire Batty coaching, CB coaching, which is, well, there's a lot going on with that just now. We can't in different things, and even doing the Friday night football, connecting with one of the youth and on the Friday nights in the park as well, which has gone great, isn't it?
We're getting a lot of boys and girls every week, so it's really good.
And it's they're loving it. It's growing. There's great connections happening, and it's just great to see them out, at night in the park, having a good time, having a good kickabout, and some great players as well, isn't there?
There is some really good players.
Anybody that you would highlight? This could be interesting. Only folk that's a bit much, a bit too rough, maybe.
Ooh,
Give what I
well,
mean? Throwing their strength about a bit.
maybe MR.
MR, aye.
Matty?
Matty Rog.
Aye.
Yes. Let's out him right now. Does he need to just get
He
a
needs
few?
to calm down a little bit.
I think you should
maybe.
introduce yellow cards and that. He might get
I've
suspended.
threatened the cards like.
He wouldn't be happy being suspended because he likes
he
his Friday
wouldn't.
night football as well. So anyway, so that's a little bit about you just to start. But I want to go back, Claire, right to the start. Give us a picture of your early life. What was it like? Family, background, things like that, upbringing, childhood, memories, school. Just, I'll hand it over to you just for a wee while to give us that picture.
So I'm the baby of the family.
Mm-hmm.
So I was just spoilt. Cadence Kim is my big sister.
Yeah,
I've got a middle sister,
Dawn.
Lynn. She bides in Troon, but she's currently biding in France because of Brexit. Her husband owns a company,
Okay.
so they've ended up over in France so that they could distribute their.
So Lynn's in between you and Kim?
Yeah.
Ah,
She looks the youngest because she's no kids.
really?
Yeah.
But you look young as well. So, and it was Richie's, wasn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Richie's.
You almost forgot. It's a good name.
Cameron's
you
middle
forget
name
it.
as well.
Aye.
It's a great name.
Aye. So, and I'll tell me about.
So we was brought up in a really good household. My mum and dad. Well, my dad worked. He worked when I was born. He was merchant navy, so he was
Okay.
1 month at a time.
Oh, right.
I think it came to a point that my sister Lynn didn't recognise him one time he came home.
No.
So he decided to get to the North Sea, and I think he was on a supply boat, so it was normally 4 and 4.
Aye.
And then he ended up going to Brazil, and that was like 6 and 6. But my mum was a stay-at-home mum.
Mm-hmm.
My nanny Rosemary Clark, my nanny and granda had owned the pet shop.
Aye.
And
Remember that?
so she'd always been left to do our thing at home, so
Aye.
she didn't want that for us.
Okay.
So she was quite adamant that she wasn't working.
Right. So, and so your dad was working offshore. So, was it like childhood upbringing, schools and that? What school did you go on? Far was you biding at?
We bid in King Edward Street.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the infant and then the Central, St Andrews now.
Yes.
And that's kind of far we hang about at. We used to play in Grattan Place, round the block on your bikes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Go up to the infant or a St Otto play, or from it was a bit or James Ramsey Park. And I would probably play with the boys, playing football.
So was that always a thing that you were?
Aye, total tomboy.
Tomboy.
Still am.
You liked either sports, either football, nothing that the guys were into. Great.
Yep.
And were your pals the boys and all? Did you?
I had boys and girls, but I seemed
Aye.
to always get on better with the boys.
The boys, aye.
It was just kind of straightforward and.
Aye. So, infant in Central, that was the same as me. Couldn't get better schools than that. Well, maybe Belgar, I have to say, but. So then, academy days. How did you get on when you went in the academy?
I hated academy.
Didn't like it.
Really didn't like it. I wasn't the brightest academically, so I was like in the lower sets. So I was in with folk that I didn't really want to be in classes with. So it made me push myself to try and get into better classes. So I wasn't with some of the other kids. So I struggled, but I managed to get enough qualifications for what I needed to do. I left school at 15 and went to the college to start electrical engineering course. And then once I was 16, I was still at college, and then they were advertising for a electrical technician. So I applied for that and got it, and then did a 4-year apprenticeship at college.
All right, so you were working
I was
for
working
the college.
Yeah,
Right,
it
okay.
was Banff and Buchan College at the time.
Aye, got you. And if it was gone into electrical engineering and things like that, if it was your kind of dream, was it to your company? Was it to get offshore? Was it to?
To be honest, I think the is a bearing I was always following my dad, and when he was home, he was obviously home long periods, so he would always be doing DIY and stuff, and he was always wearing a boiler suit. I just wanted a boiler suit.
Aye.
So,
So just,
I think
and would
it's
you
just
spend time
kinda-
with your dad doing jobbies and that, or just would you just want to be a bit like him?
Kind of
Aye.
watch him.
Aye.
So I kind of just wanted to be a bit like him.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why I kind of went down the electrical engineering route.
Mm-hmm.
He was an engineer. I did fancy being a PE teacher, but I was told, oh, there's not enough money in it. So I was like, oh, I'll go different. And
Were you? What can I ask? Were you into football in terms of watching it? If I was your team,
Aberdeen,
Don's fan.
yeah. Yeah, not a massive Dons fan, more passionate about Brock in Scotland, really.
Aye. Were they any use back then? So they were really good when I was really young.
Yeah, I was kind
But kinda-
of, they were kind of past that.
They were
thing.
okay. Better than they are now, though.
I can.
Anyway, so you're working at the college.
Mm-hmm.
So had you gotten your qualification before that?
I kind of had done so much modules. I didn't actually get to finish the course. It was like a general electrical course. It was like a kind of intro course.
Uh-huh.
But I'd obviously impressed the lecturers and that, because I was a hard worker.
Yep.
So.
Aye, that's really good. And so if it happened after that, obviously, because again that you're near there now, so if it was the next step, if it took you away from the college?
Well, as soon as I got my apprenticeship, I wanted to get offshore.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanted the money. I'd been an apprentice for long enough, and I was fed up getting rubbish wages, so I just chased the money, really. And eventually I got offshore and made a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Thought I'd be happy with it. It wasn't really. So
Were you offshore for a number of years? Or?
I must have been offshore for 2.5 years,
Mm-hmm.
and then we fell pregnant with Cameron.
Well, let's go back a bit then,
Yeah.
because we've kind of jumped forward to your career side of things. But going back then, I ken a few things that happened in your life, but timeline-wise, I ken that there was some major challenges. I ken that Keith obviously came on the go at some point in between what we've just been speaking about. So speak us through that challenges, Claire, because it's things that a lot of folk face, but maybe not in the same way, in the same timing as what you did. Just speak us about it.
So I was still working at college.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think I'd finished my apprenticeship yet. Certainly hadn't finished my HNC. And so I was 20, and I was in a territorial army, and everything. I was nuts. I loved it.
I've seen pictures of that in the life group. Aye.
But I was just daft, but I loved it. I went away every weekend, and it was just great. I loved it.
What kind of things do you do in that? Because I've kent folk been in it, but what do you do on these weekends?
What do we do on the weekends? Well,
Or does it stay in the territorial army?
no, well, it depends. During the day you're busy. During at night, most of them just go out and get drunk, but
Aye.
maybe edit that bit out.
No, you of course. No, you just
No,
bid in the
no.
barracks. Aye. So, but aye, it was tough
It was
training.
tough, aye.
Army training. Okay. So sorry, I interrupted there. You were 20, around the 2 years. You were still at college.
I was 20. Life was gone pretty good. Just about finished my apprenticeship. But because I was actually trying to get into do the London Marathon, so I was training a lot. I was running a lot, and I kept getting bothered with my ankle. And I'd been to the doctor, I'd been to physio. Physio told me to just keep running through it.
Mm-hmm.
And every time I was like just so sore, I was like, nah. So I ended up going to a sports therapist in Ellen, and he checks your spinal alignment, and then it was like massaging up the back of my leg, and he was like, have you pulled your hamstring before? And I'm like, no, every problem needs doing, I've suffered, but never pulled my hamstring. And so we went over it again, because you've got heaps of little lumps in you, but it was like, it was like that.
Aye.
And I didn't have a clue it was there. I wasn't aware of
Really?
it at all. The thing was about odd size.
So you didn't have any pain in that?
No, no pain in that leg. Pain was in the other leg.
But it was this huge lump, and then did you have to go and get it seen?
Yes, he told me to go and get it seen till. So I went to the GP. I think they obviously suspect. I just was like, nah, I'm 20, Ken. I wasn't really thinking anything of it. We was actually laughing at family that it was my brain, it was in my leg. Because it wasn't very.
Found it.
Found it. Aye, it's what's wrong. So meanwhile, I think when I was waiting to get an ultrasound, my mum had got a phone call from Brazil, because that's where my dad was working at the time, to say that he was in hospital. He'd been taken off the rig, the boat, and he was in hospital and he had stomach cancer. I was like, right, okay. So I was like, well, it's a bit nuts. So they were actually going to operate in Brazil.
Really?
Because they thought, the Brazil doctors said it was like operable and it would be all right. But because Brazil's so far away, he decided to come back to Aberdeen. So I think Brazilian doctor flew over with him to Aberdeen, went straight into ARI, and they eventually diagnosed him stomach cancer, but it had already spread to his liver. I can't mind what else, but it was terminal.
Did he collapse with pain or something when he was offshore, or how did they find it?
He must have been off a sair.
And then
he
just
was
had to go.
just sair, and then he taken him off, because my dad was never in wheel. So him being in hospital was like, whoa.
How old would he have been at this time?
47.
So that news comes in, you're still getting tested.
Yeah,
So
I was like, at the point that the day that I was meant to get an ultrasound, my dad was in Aberdeen Hospital, I think, and I was nearly nae gone, because I thought, I'm just wasting time. Here's my dad in hospital with cancer, and I'm wasting Aberdeen's time. So I nearly never went, but I did go, got the ultrasound, and they said there and then, so we're going to get you an MRI scan. I was like, okay. I got in that afternoon. I was like, it's a bit weird. Okay, so I got MRI scan. I went home, and then the doctor for the surgery phoned me and says, are you sitting down? And I'm like, aye. I was now standing up. It's like, you've got a tumour in your leg. I was like, right, okay. Doctor wants you to go through to Aberdeen in the morning for 8 o'clock to get a biopsy. I said, right, okay. My dad must have been home at this time, because he actually teamed me through. He'd gotten home, because I think at that time they were still thinking about operating on him. He teamed me through, got a biopsy. I think that was the longest 2 weeks of my life, waiting for that. I was told it would be like, I'm sure I was told it would be 2 weeks at most, and it was over 2 weeks. But I found out later, I think if they're diagnosed with if you get a positive, I think they test you in Aberdeen and then they send it to Edinburgh or something.
Okay.
So I think that'd been the hud up, but they wouldn't tell you anything when you try phone him. So that was horrible waiting. And then to be told.
So it was a couple of weeks.
He actually came through with my fin. I got biopsy results. And I mind him arguing with the doctors, like, why can you not do? Because they were like, we've got to take your hamstring out. And I'm like, aye, but I'm sporty and stuff. You can't do that. And he's like, can you not shrink it? Kind of like with radiotherapy or that? And I was like, no, it doesn't actually work. So, it was like, this is nuts. This is happening.
Within 2 weeks of your dad getting diagnosed.
So,
and you were told that day that they could do surgery, or
yes.
Aye.
Because he like popped me onto the bed and was like, he drew up the back of my leg, right, we're getting cut from here to here, and I'm like, really? I thought he was joking. I was like, that's a bit mental. So.
Right. So the next, while, and how long did it take before they did that operation?
It was like a week.
Oh, did they? Aye.
It was,
they had to get it.
aye. But they reckon I'd had it for 3 years.
Aye, because it had obviously grown. It
Yeah.
was aye. And so they removed that, and they remove other
Yeah, they removed the majority of my hamstring
hamstring
muscle
muscle. Aye.
because it was the best way to get it out safely, keeping it enclosed.
But they got it,
They did.
and it was successful.
Mhm.
And how does it affect you now?
I've still got a lot of nerve damage, but initially, when I was walking, I tend to over-exaggerate my knee movement, or
Aye.
I would just kind of hit the ground.
Okay.
So
aye.
it was like building my muscles, my other muscles in my leg up to just get the simple movement.
Yeah.
But I was told like I wouldn't be able to work offshore or anything like that.
Really?
Aye, I was like, no, I'm going to work offshore. So
So isn't that really stopped you?
hasn't really stopped me. It has, like the Territorial Army, I went back and I obviously couldn't pass a physical test.
Really?
I couldn't do the running in
Ah,
time.
well, aye. It's
They were
really
nice to me,
intense, innit?
like they would have given me a job driving the Land Rovers and that, but I didn't want to do that. So I eventually left because it was just too painful to be around Abdi doing stuff that I wanted to do. So
that was you.
Mhm.
What about your dad?
So he did start chemo, which we kent that the chemo would only maybe prolong his life. But he was so ill and miserable that he decided to stop it. And as a family, us Richies, the 5 of us at home, we was actually relieved. We had news that he was stopping it.
Was it so tough that
Well, we
you
was
really
listening to
never
him
the chemo?
heaving and being sick, and so like after I got my operation, well, the day I got my operation, he started chemo in Aberdeen, and I was back to work. I was back to work within 2 weeks because I just needed to get out of the house because I was hearing him, so it wasn't fine. But I went back to work far too soon, mentally more than physically.
Yeah.
I was like on a mission. So
I suppose a way of coping if it was going on, just get back to work. And so he didn't. He stopped the chemo.
and he got a good few months that we kind of got Dad back, so it was fine. We both did the Inverurie bike run,
You
25. Me and my dad did it.
You and him.
Aye.
You with your gummy leg and
Me and
him.
my got my leg and him on his way out. Did it.
Last stages of wow.
So.
When was that then?
I can't mind.
Can you mind
Must
the
have
year it
been
was? If she was 20,
It was 2003.
2003. So if it happened,
August. I wasn't expecting it. I was actually away the weekend. I was actually still going away with the tea at that point. And I got a phone call, I think on a Sunday morning, from my mum. And bearing in mind, on a Friday night, I was at home, seen him. He looked absolutely fine, or I would never have went away. But I got a phone call from my mum, I think you should come home. I said, right, okay. And Cam, she was meant to be away weekend as well. It was just weird. My sister Lynn, she was meant to be in Aberdeen or Glasgow, but she was also up the road. So we was at home.
you were not there.
I think I got home at about 2 o'clock, and 3 minutes past 3, that was him. He waited for Abdi.
And that was how. So when was that? Did you say it was August in 2003?
Aye, 27th of August.
He passed. And when did he get diagnosed?
It must have been the beginning of March.
Beginning of March. So only a few months, not even 6 months really. Aye. If he'd been diagnosed. How a year like that, obviously, amazing news for you coming through it.
Mm-hmm.
Tough though at age, if it was just only that. But at the same time, your father going through it and then passing away. How do you face life after that, Claire?
You just have to kind of get on with it, but it wasn't easy. I really struggled. I would say my coping mechanism would be go and get drunk just to numb it.
Mm-hmm.
I think I went about 3 months without sleeping.
Mm-hmm.
So it was hard. It was hard for a long time. And then it would come up to scan times and I would be so paranoid. I would live between scans. Like it would start 3 monthly and then 6 monthly and then it went to a year. But I was just waiting for it to be my turn.
Aye, because just the fear of it coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Aye.
And I had met other people through it as well. I met a quine from Peterhead. She had the same type of cancer as me. She ended up dying.
Tough times for that time. Fun did Keith come on and go?
Keith came on and go. He's met my dad. He met my dad.
So you were gone with him?
We were gone with him.
Okay.
Well, I'd actually finished with him no long after my operation because I just kind of had too much stuff in my head.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like pushed him away really.
Aye.
Just.
Again, one of the ways that you think to cope, but then
actually the day that my dad died, Keith was up to. He'd asked to see Keith, and we were actually finished at the time. And my dad spoke to him, and when I phoned Keith and told him he couldn't believe it, because just a few years beforehand he had been pretty good. So
you and Keith got back together, obviously.
we did. We had a few ups and downs. I kept pushing my way. Here, Keith.
And but you got married how long after?
2005.
So a couple of years after you got married. Aye. So by sound of it, he's been a strength for you. He's been.
Aye, he's still here.
Aye, he's still.
I've put up with wise enough time, but he's still.
He's still putting up with you.
I'm still putting up with him and Arthur.
No, it's good though. I met him at the park this week, so I spoke to him. It's fine to see him. Rangers fan though, but we'll maybe edit that out. No, but let me ask you just now then, Claire, because we're going to come a wee bit of the story of your journey of faith in that. But I've seen and heard you singing things like we did on Sunday. Ken, all my life you've been faithful. All my life you've been so good. Speaking about the Lord. Obviously, maybe at times like this, it might have seemed to a young quine like yourselves if the Lord wasn't there. But can you just take us through a bit of faith journey? Because I ken it starts further back than just in this last recent times, because I ken that you're involved with Old Parish and you were brought up like that. So take us through a little bit of that journey, maybe even losing it a bit or however however you would describe it yourself. Nay that it maybe was lost, maybe it was always there, but take us through what your faith journey in your life.
I was brought up at the Old Parish Church. My nanny Rosemary, she was the Sunday school leader.
Aye.
So I'd always left to Sunday school. My mum never seen us, it was I, my nanny. So I did I enjoy it? I've got a lot of good memories of Sunday school.
Your nanny must have been a good influence. So I met her a few times, and she came Alpha we came and different things. I mean, she was at Christmas dinner, but for what I've heard, she was a real faithful woman. Lovely Christian, faithful woman. So she was. So you always was involved with Sunday school and that. But sorry, again, I'm interrupting and I'm bad at it. But keep going.
So I went through Sunday school. Went to the family services, Old Parish Church, and then I went to Bible class, then we went to academy, and then my sister Lynn, she's just like 2 years older than me.
Mm-hmm.
So once she stopped, she was like wanting to stop
Aye.
Bible class. So once she stopped, I managed to stop as well, because I was like,
Aye.
well, if Lynn stops, I can
You
stop.
can stop, aye.
So we did stop quite young by the Bible class, and that was kind of really just kind of drifted.
Mm-hmm.
Have I believed in God, but I never really kent him really before.
Aye. So that belief, but is a lot of folk have been saying recently, maybe the difference between having that relationship, that closeness with God, maybe having a belief, maybe as folk would say a religion, but maybe in that closeness. So maybe drifting away as many, maybe most do, teenage years and you know, in young adult years. But so, Fan, would you say? Let me ask this then: during that really tough times, like 2003, far was God there for you? And I mean, maybe you didn't think He was there at all, but maybe you can look back and say He was. Or how would you describe
At the time,
that?
I didn't think He was there.
Aye.
It was weird because like at college, I had like so Avril, and I had a lot of fishermen that was for Gamery, and the cards I got was unbelievable, and it was all like verses for the Bible and stuff,
Wow.
and I was like kind of a bit freaked out by it all, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
And then the flip side of the coin, saying, people said to me, well, it just proves there's not a God because they wouldn't do that to you.
Mm-hmm.
So it was kind of like,
Aye.
nae sure.
Aye.
I was 20-year-old anyway. It was like, 20-year-olds on the mix. I really didn't ken for a stand. So I believe now, looking back, that He was there for me. The fact that He's never come back. I kind of had all parish church praying for me. I'm sure I had his church praying for me as well, because I kind of Avril mind her saying that we're praying for you, and I was like, and I kind of was like a bit taken aback with the prayer thing, and I'm like, if it's the point of praying, I've got cancer. Ken, that's kind of my mentality, is like, well, I've got it, you can't get rid of it. So, but it was kind of weird to find out people's praying for you.
So, if we jump forward then, because as you said, you can look back now and see, well, I do believe that God was there. There was that level of protection. That, so, Fan, did that become real again? Because if for my side, and I suppose for folk at SA, it was great to see Kim, your sister, come to an Alpha course, and I was right there on the table, and seeing her journey, just refreshing that belief that she'd had, but it just came alive again, I felt, and then finding out that you were our sister after that, King, because I'd seen her a wee bit with the football and things like that, and then I saw you come to one of the services, and I'm not sure if it was to do with the kids or your nephews, Ken.
So, I've probably for many years I've thought there was something missing. Kind of think once I get married, once I had kids, once I've got an Asteen in the house, once I've got a fancy car, but it's never satisfied, or just something missing. But because I was a football coach, I made the excuse that, well, I can't, because I'm coaching on a Sunday, so I can't go to church. So it's really weird. JT and Kieran, I think it was maybe Kieran,
he was doing something in church, and he was singing,
it was
it
was the evening service, so it was 6 o'clock at night, so football's finished by then. So Cam phoned me up, do you want to come and see Kieran? It's like, okay, I'll go and see, because he's my nephew. And I was totally taken aback how nice Abdi was, so welcoming. And I'd already been to toddlers with Cameron when he was a baby, and Kira. And all the ladies were so fine.
It was just a welcome, which is a lot of folks' experience. And I suppose a lot of folks' experience of AOG as a church is completely different to fit the actual being here is, because obviously there's preconceptions over the years at folks' head, definitely that you will not be welcome, definitely that you'll be judged in
I
here.
just thought I wouldn't be good enough to...
Wouldn't it be good enough? I think things like
got
that.
good enough clothes to work on, but it's not true.
I that things. So if it was the next step after that?
I think I watched... it was fine, but that was it. I couldn't go back because my nephew's near in the front, so I've no reason to go back.
Aye.
And I think they must have been doing something else, so I went back again. And I'm sure Kim asked me it was a few times I had went. I think she started asking me to come to the evening service, and I think I'd started going with her and Catherine.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a few times, like at the end of the service, I was asked if anybody would like to get saved.
Mm-hmm.
And I mind having my eyes closed and praying, and honestly felt like somebody was shining a big bright light on me.
Really?
Like a spotlight. I actually opened my eyes to make sure somebody was standing with a light on me. It was kind of like, whoa.
Wow.
And I really felt the need to put my hand up, but me being stubborn, I was like, no, I'm not doing it. Abdi will laugh at me. I can't do that. Abdi will think I'm weak. So I kind of ignored it.
Aye, you managed to resist the...
And I mind one Sunday, Avril was doing a message, and she asked the same. And I mind she says, she felt like somebody needed telling. I'm like, I'm not doing it.
Mm-hmm.
But I really felt like it was for me that day. But I was like, And then it was Christmas Eve service, 2019.
Mm-hmm.
Danny Murphy was preaching.
Danny was speaking, aye.
And Kim was like two rows in front of me. I was farther back. And it was just like, hand
went
up.
up.
It was like somebody, aye.
Automatic.
Somebody put my hand up. It was just like,
Wasn't
wow.
it Kim, was it?
No, it wasn't Kim. But I didn't even tell Kim. Kim found out, I think, for Naomi.
That's right, I might not be.
Because she phoned me and she was like, I think you've got some unfinished business at the church. And I'm like, oh no, she can't. So I was like embarrassed, but I reckon why.
Well, it's a big thing, isn't it?
It is a big thing.
And folk came in and different things. So did you meet somebody and pray it through with them and that?
Eventually I did with Lisa, and it was All Year's Day.
Mm-hmm.
I came into church because she was like, will I come to your house? And I'm like, no, you can't come to my house. Up till Ken. And then I went to Tesco's and I was like a Cheshire cat. It's just like...
So if it was because we really believe in this, and we believe that there's a moment that you connect with God, and there's a coming home moment, really, even almost especially if you've had a belief in went away for it, you know what I mean? But there's that point, or sometimes folk have never had that belief, but it just happens that just faith comes. So did you feel that connection with God that day? Did you feel?
It was the Holy Spirit just felt me, and it's an amazing feeling.
Aye.
It's like, and you can't explain it because it's like amazing.
Aye.
It's like hairs on the back of your neck.
Mm-hmm. So it was a real experience that you had with the Lord, and as you're saying, you were grinning, it made all the difference. So what difference has it made then since then? Because for some people it would say, it's just an emotional decision, and then it obviously wasn't it, because it's a period of months that you're going through this, and then you make that decision. But is it just over and done with then, or?
No, like even my mum's noticed a difference. Ken, she's like, you've never been complaining about Keith. You must be getting on all right, Ken. Just.
Poor Keith is probably going to be on the edit, so we might keep all this in, but maybe he'll maybe.
It's just been easier through life. Things that would normally really irritate me, I'm just like, whatever. Just, it's all right. No point of getting stressed out about it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just more content.
Yeah.
just normal things that you see folk getting stressed about. I'm really like, I'm over it now. Maybe grown up a bit as well. But I just feel at peace.
Aye. Well, that's the thing you mentioned about even that decision and that being prayed for and marking that commitment to the Lord, and through accepting Christ and following Christ that you already believe in, but you're marking that decision to follow Him. The Holy Spirit comes, and that's what the Bible teaches, that the Holy Spirit comes into our lives and it marks a difference. And there's what you're describing anew is the fruit of the Spirit as well, which is listed, Ken. Joy, peace, love, joy, peace, patience. Are these things start to make a difference in your life as well? And we've seen it in you, Claire, and so many. I mean, we're kind of getting into the mat just now, but even through life group, you'll always say something almost weekly that you could share that the Lord's done in your life, and it encourages others, and you are encouraging others. So, anything else that you would say that's been a change since then?
I just feel like there's a weight off my shoulders, and it's like the missing piece that I've been looking for. It wasn't the new house or a new car or getting a dog. That was great, but the missing piece is Jesus.
Aye.
Ken?
Brilliant.
Seems so simple now looking back.
Aye.
It's like it could have been so much easier if I'd done this years ago. Yeah, I've got so much to be thankful for. Ken? I've got a roof over my head, I've got my 2 bairns, they're quite healthy. I've got my business, I'm quite happy doing that, and I love my job. If I can make a difference in some bairns' lives or somebody's life, then it's just what I want to do, really.
You're right enough about putting something back into people's lives, because you really have been a blessing to so many folk. I really believe that. And if I look at just the last, since 2019 even, coming along the first service, coming at Christmas, getting involved with Alpha, life groups, I think that you've been involved with, and just how much God's done in your life, and we can see the change, and we can see just the peace and the joy within you, like Claire. And now I was really excited about this, because I believe that we spoke about at the start, the being involved with the Friday night football and kind of CB coaching coming in and really kind of partnering with that. But it's fit you're passionate about it as well, and that it's not just you want to see young folk coach, because Friday night football is a great kickable, isn't it? It's a great game, more than it is coaching and training at us. So, and I ken there's still things happening, exciting things in your life. So, how do you feel about it? You can see that you're passionate about helping folk. You're passionate about living for God.
I mind being challenged at I think it was one of the online services, and it was like, fit can you do to help to serve a church, like standing at the door giving teas or that, and I was like, I think I could do, I kind of see myself pouring teas. So I kind of thought for a while, fit can I do? And then I suddenly thought, I used to do street sports like I spoke about last time. I was like, fit, bro. It's like, why didn't I think of it sooner? So we approached Sam, and
you brought the vision to Sam, and he
got forward.
Brilliant.
I probably didn't think it would actually happen, but it's, I think, how many weeks that is now?
Must be 10 plus, is it?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you as well, the timing of it was so good. Just fun. Abdi was allowed to come out, but how was it going to happen? And you just saw the need and the desire for it within
probably wouldn't have
young
worked
people.
If we hadn't been lockdown. It might not have worked, but I think it was perfect timing.
So brilliant. And so if it's the next step,
oh, I'm going to get baptised.
Are you? Brilliant. We just had a baptism on Sunday, but obviously you want
I want Keith to be
Keith to be there, for family to be there. So I think we're looking at, looks like 15th August. So you're going to go for it.
Yeah.
Brilliant. So good. Just that public witness and public declaration to say what God's done in your life. It's so good. So, Claire, we're encouraged by you, and I'm sure that anybody watching this will be encouraged just with your character through, I think, your personality and also the faith that you've got and you've showed. If you got a message, a hope, or just something that you would say to anybody watching today?
Anybody watching, just there's enough room. Like if you love your kids, you can't when you hear a kid that you love him so much, and that is like it's why Jesus loves us. He's got so much love to give, and he's not greedy. He doesn't just give it to one person. He wants to share it, and there's room for everybody.
Absolutely.
And it's absolutely amazing. It will change our life for the better. You'll still go through hard times, but it's so much easier doing life with Jesus.
So true. And you've seen that for yourself. And I think a lot of people at this time, you know, there's been so much really about the problems of COVID and even other economic things, but there can be, the perspective can be in that, and then the world view that you see on media and different things makes folk think a certain way. But you know, how important is it for folk to get God's view and God's perspective on their life? Have you seen that yourself?
I think if I read the Bible, it's like focus your eyes on Him, and are there other problems that are making a massive impact on your life when I seem that big on Him? He is there, and we are His children, and He wants to help us. But He doesn't come knocking at everybody's doors. You need to ask for it. That's all you need to do, is ask for it, and He's there. So I mind last year when I was walking the dog, and if I was got music on, listening to music, and Amazing Grace came on. I was listening to it, and it took me right back to being in an all parish church, and I was listening to the words. Saved a wretch like me. I once was lost, but now I'm found. That's kind of how I feel. I was blind, but now I can see. Now as a kid, I was like, how can you be blind and then see? But it's like suddenly it's taken, I reckon how many years, pennies dropped. I was blind. I was spiritually blind, and now I can see. And it's so much easier, so much happier. And my bairns are seeing it as well, Ken. So Kira is really encouraged by it. She's off excited about baptism as well. So, no, it's people seeing a difference. So,
aye, it's just brilliant. And as I've said before, you're an absolute blessing, and we can see the Lord in you and working through you, and I'm sure many other folk can. And we would just say, Omdi, that's watching, that's available to everybody. For the faith that you've got, that perspective, that new sight that the Lord gives, is available for everybody. So, thank you so much, Claire. That's been absolutely brilliant. Thanks.
When people Hey, what a great service so far, and what an amazing life story that we've heard again. And you know, this is a moment in the service where, like every week, we're just going to take a moment to just say thank you to Jesus, and just to remember what he's done for us. And we do this, don't we, with our crackers or our wavers and our juice, just remembering the sacrifice he's paid, and just the meaning of his blood, how it protects us and has made us right with God. And we do this because he's asked us to. He asks us to, he said, do this in remembrance of me until I come. And we don't need to do it to make us any more right with God. We don't do it because he needs us to do it. We do it because he loves us, and he wants us to be intimate with him, and because he knows that we need to just take this time to refocus and remember and to be thankful for what he's done. And you know, it says in Romans 5, verses 1 to 2, it says, therefore, since we have been made right in God's sight by faith, we have peace with God because of what Jesus Christ our Lord has done for us. Because of our faith, Christ has brought us into this place of undeserved privilege where we now stand, and we confidently and joyfully look forward to sharing God's glory. You know, right now, because of Jesus, we stand in a place, this is where we are right now, we stand in a place of undeserved privilege. And you know, it's important to know where we are. You know, my husband and both my boys are fishermen, which really helps your prayer life, because you really are so aware of how frail, how helpless as human beings we are against the power of nature, and then compared to the power of God. And the Bible says God reveals his power through nature. And I was reminded of it again, just of our human frailty, despite all technical advances, despite the advancement in science and knowledge and medical advances. You know, when it comes down to, compared to Jesus and compared to who God is, you know, that we are utterly powerless, but we stand in this privileged position. And a couple of weeks ago, my husband was fishing like he normally does, but about as far out as he usually goes, about 2.5 days steam off the southern coast of Ireland. And while he was out there, he lost all the power to the engines that powered everything within the boat. So he was left with no light, no internet, no equipment. All that he had left was a GPS signal which told him where he was, and an almanac that gave him coordinates for Killybegs Harbour, that was the nearest harbour that he could steam for. And you know, without that GPS signal, he would have had no idea where he was or how to get to, even though he knew he wanted to get to Killybegs, he knew that he would have had no idea without that GPS signal how to get there. He also had his main engine that it was still working, so he did have the power to actually get into that harbour. But without that GPS, he would have had no idea. See, you know, and this is a bit like our GPS. You know, as we remember what Jesus has done this morning, it reminds us of where we are right now. We are standing in this position of undeserved privilege. It reminds us of where we're going, because he says to do this in remembrance of me until I come. He's coming again. And it reminds us too, you know, in the same way that my husband was able to steam in because the only engine that was left working was the engine that actually powered the boat. This reminds us of the power that is at work in us and through us, as he gives us everything that we need for today and for every day until he comes again. You know, I don't know of what your situation is this morning. If you're in a situation where maybe everything is uncertain, maybe things that you've depended on or relied on have suddenly gone, or you're facing an unknown situation at the moment, the one thing that you can be sure of this morning is what Jesus has done for you. And being thankful, we need to be thankful because it refocuses us and it reminds us, and it helps us to just trust in Him, to move forward in His power, and help Him to guide us to our safe harbour or our destination. It's all that we need. What Jesus has done is all that we need. Thank you.
With my soul, with my soul, it is well, it is well with my soul. My sin, oh, the bliss of this glorious thought. My sin, not in part, but the whole is nailed to the cross, and I bear it no more. Praise the Lord, praise the Lord, oh my soul. It is well, with my soul, with my soul. It is well, with my soul. And the Lord hates the day when the face shall be sight, the clouds be rolled back like a scroll. The trump shall resound, and the Lord shall descend. Even so, it is well with my soul. It is well, with my soul, with my soul. It is well, with my soul. It is well,
Thank you so much, Claire, for sharing your story, and thank you, Monica, for leading us in communion so well. We really do hope that as you've heard Claire's story and as you've taken communion and remembered Jesus with us, that you would be encouraged that God loves you. I once was blind, but now I see. With God, we can have clarity. We can have love. We can have hope. We can have peace, all when we trust and we believe in Him. And if you've never made that decision before and you're watching online just now, we would love to help you and lead you in making that decision and making Jesus your number one and making Him your Savior. Please get in contact with us. We'd love to chat to you. I'd love to chat to you. We'd love to just help you and welcome you in here at church. On the 15th of August, we have got another beach baptism service. If you've never been baptized and you would like to get baptized, please come and speak to us, email us, phone us, whatever it is, chat to us, and we'd love to help you on that journey of getting baptized. Last time was absolutely incredible. And maybe you aren't wanting to get baptized, but you're wanting to hear a little bit more about us. Why don't come along to the baptism and chat to someone there? We'd love to see you there. But other than that, all it leaves me to do is say goodbye. We've got another incredible life story for you next week, and next week's is a good one. So we'll see you then. Bye.